Just another day where Nvidia and any other company can't please Wall Street. So Nvidia absolutely crushed it when it came down to its quarterly earning report that it released today. And trust me, I believe that the NASDAQ market is extremely overbought. It's nearly at all-time highs. And I wanted the NASDAQ market to pull on back. I mean, I wasn't sad to see that Nvidia pulled back, but it takes me back to that same idea of like, you can never please Wall Street. Nvidia's numbers with earnings per share and with revenue were so strong, and that became a concern for investors. I'm going to be breaking it all down for you guys in this video, so sit back, relax. I hope that it earned your thumbs up, and remember, don't forget to subscribe. I do trade live every morning. I'd love to see you for tomorrow's live trading session. So if you like what you saw today, click the second link in the description down below to learn more about being able to watch me trade live. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. So Nvidia crushed its earnings when it came down to estimates of its EPS of $3.36. It came in at $4.02. Its revenue had an expectation of $16.1 billion. It came in at $18.1. So overall expectation was blown out of the water. So why is it that Nvidia stock after market hours, after reporting earnings, and not just during its earnings, but its actual earnings call, Nvidia ended up in the red, right? Ended up being down 1.73%, and at one point it was down 3%. So why? Why is there such a negative sentiment towards this? I'm going to just get straight to it, and then I'm going to be showing you a video. So the idea behind this is the fear of, first, Nvidia might be growing too quick. And investors are in fear that, well, how long can Nvidia keep up this growth? This kind of gives you a timeline of how the growth has been for revenue for Nvidia from 2021, right, being at $3 billion, and now being at $18 billion, a significant increase quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter, and most of this demand is coming through or because artificial intelligence. The second thing that needs to be taken into consideration is that the stock market reaction to the report was muted. However, the company noted new restrictions on chip exports to China would weigh on results. Share of the chip maker, Nvidia, were down more than 1% after market hours on Tuesday night. And then this is a quote, right? Our sales to China and other affected destinations derived from products and are subject to licensing requirements have constantly contributed to approximately 20 to 25% of data center revenue over the past quarters. So this is something that was stated from the CFO. So we expect our sales for these destinations that they will decline significantly in the fourth quarter of fiscal 2024. So, I mean, they're just being upfront, right? Where the fourth quarter of 2024, they're saying that, yeah, we might see some form of slowdown in up and coming quarters. Now, I get it, right? Investors want to pull out their money once they see that growth might be peaking. I want to give you an example of why this might be, right? I don't know if you guys remember this company called CVNA, and it was called Carvana, right? It's still a company that's publicly traded, current market cap at $6.2 trillion. But at one point, Carvana was killing it, especially during the pandemic, right? It hit highs of $376 per share, and it saw this growth within a very short period of time. So this is where I do kind of understand, but I wanted to give you a real world example because why? Why would a company beating expectations for earnings per share and for revenue, showing exceptional growth, right? Being the market and world leader in chip manufacturing, why is it down after proving that it's better than what Wall Street expected? And it's because if it continues to grow quicker than what it anticipated, and if it can't keep up with demand, or if demand ends up dying out, then again, at one point, it's expected that it might peak and then begin to retrace from there. And investors at that point then want to lock in profits if there's any sign of slowing down, right? If there's no signs of continuous growth, they want to make sure that they can exit properly in fear of a potential retracement if demand begins to fall. But I thought that instead of just talking about it, I can give you a real world example of it. But let's go ahead and talk about this and show you this video real quick.
Beating the raise expected, beating the raise delivered. Was the bar just that high?
Yeah, I think the bar is high, but again, the demand, the need for speed across these data centers, and I'm really looking forward to hearing the conference call if a lot of the sales were in that space. But there's a lot of deep pocket customers out there that are willing and need to spend this money. So I think it's really important in all these conversations about Nvidia and AI and this need for speed that we're early in this cycle. I think when people get concerned about the stock's movement, they have to realize this is a multi-year transformational change in technology, and we're really at the early stages, and they are at the pole position. I'd like to say they're the only game in town, or as we like to call them, the Magnificent One.
Well, we're also in the early stages of the after-hours action. Stacey, the stock initially moved higher, then it moved a lot lower. Now it's kind of in the middle. It's only, it's down 2%. But what's particularly important to hear color-wise on the call? Is it really about, I think you mentioned demand and the degree to which Nvidia understands exactly how these chips are being put to use right now versus how many might be stockpiled?
Yeah, again, the question is, like I said, the numbers, like I said this earlier, the numbers get so big so quickly, people wonder about sustainability. And so we'll want to get some better feeling for how much visibility they have in terms of like how long are their cycle times, how involved are they in the deployments. And by the way, I do think they're very involved in those deployments. I don't think they're just like throwing GPUs over the wall, right? I think they know, but anything they can give us on that. The other thing I'll be listening for clearly is China. I'd love to know if the China sanctions actually impacted these results at all. Like, would they have even been higher without that? And what are they doing in China? What are their expectations for that market? And how should we be thinking about their prospects or ability to sell into that market over time?
James, I mean, we know supply has not been keeping pace with demand, but when I see EPS numbers that are up 12-fold over the past year, I mean, how quickly can this company ramp that supply? And what does it mean in terms of the investments that have to come alongside it, even as it earns hand over fist here?
Yeah, Morgan, great question. And that is certainly a concern. Can they keep up with this incredible demand? And I think that this is where you have a company that's extremely well managed. I mean, Jensen really knows this business, knows it well. And I think that's where, as a stockholder, shareholder ourselves, we really want to look at management. Can they maneuver their way through this transformational change from the number one position? And frankly speaking, that's where you have to have a lot of confidence in management, and we do in Jensen here.
Alrighty, and there you have it. So again, the overall breakdown for Nvidia, the biggest concern that I just want you to take into consideration is that my takeaways from that video is that Nvidia is relatively pretty early on when it comes down to this whole wave of artificial intelligence. Obviously, going from $100 a share to $500 a share within a very short period of time. I mean, we're literally talking in 1 year, right? To be able to 5x the valuation of your company, for it now to be one of the trillion-dollar companies, one of the most valuable companies that's publicly traded. I'm not surprised that Wall Street is beginning to ask the question of, okay, is this it, right? But then when I really like the way that that gentleman put it, is that Nvidia, and when it comes down to artificial intelligence, is so young, especially in our world today, right? And if demand continues to ramp up, Nvidia right now is world leader, right? When it comes down to chip manufacturers for that type of stuff. So I could only imagine that demand should continue, and as more innovation is made in that space, then hopefully more competition arises. But as of right now, it's Nvidia, right? But I just wanted to make sure that you guys had a better understanding of what it reported, that it was really good news, but some concerns that some of the investors had, right? When it came down to sustainability, can it continue to grow at this same rate? And obviously the issues that it might be having with the restrictions going on in China. So as I begin to learn more about it, again, I'll make sure that I keep you guys up to date, especially if you're part of our LPP team. If I see anything significant being released, then again, I'd be more than happy to share it with you guys. But I do want to remind you that, the report itself that it released was a very, very good earnings report. Yes, it's down as of right now, but we'll see. Once the market opens tomorrow, we could see a quick change of direction as the market's been more bullish than bearish. I'm just really excited to take on the market with all of you guys that end up joining me for that live trading session, which again is the second link in the description down below. I appreciate your time. I hope that it earned a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.